What would it sound like if all of a sudden what was the lake was now a giant arsenic dust storm?
It started out as a composition that Carey Campbell wrote in a performance.
The more I heard and the more I read, the more I thought, I have to do something. I have to make some music about this.
The original piece of where This Was Water started was with the ecological crisis that we are facing as neighbors of the Great Salt Lake. Too much water is being diverted away from the lake and it is drying up at rapid rates. If you go to the Dumke Plaza, you'll find 5 sculptures that are interactive. They're large and they're modeled after these dirty diamonds, which are crystals that emerge out of the Great Salt Lake.
What if these crystals were so much bigger than us that it causes our perspective to shift? And the lake is no longer something that we live on top of, but rather we live alongside with.
These diamonds fascinate me because they are just these artifacts of loss. As the lake bed recedes, the ground that they are populated in, that they generate out of, is increased. And so in theory, these crystals are increasing over time, which is an ecological disaster, but also there's these beautiful artifacts of that loss that are emerging at the same time. As you approach the sculptures, these lights that at first seem to be breathing, they go up and down slowly, they will start to flicker and interact with your proximity. Along with the lights, there's also sound that is emitted from each of the sculptures, and the sound changes as well as you approach them.
It begins to invite you in with a different set of sound. And then we encourage you to get close enough to these crystals to hear their secret. And each of the 5 sculptures has its own secret to reveal. It will theoretically never be the same way twice. Sort of like the lake, sort of like any bit of water, sort of like any bit of life, I suppose. The whole title, This Was Water, is kind of imagining someone, perhaps a very much older me, gesturing and showing my grandchildren the lake and saying, this used to be water.
My hope is that people will come, engage with the work, and be curious enough to learn about the crystals themselves, curious enough to learn about the ecological crisis of the Great Salt Lake drying up, and find ways to get engaged.